He produced what he said too, when Schnabel told him, he said, you are before your time, and he was before his time. Because Basquiat is now seen and, appreciated by a very younger generation. I can tell you, it's like he has this scream and this cry and this way of paint which is so special. Whenever I show a film, I say something. The great creator are one type of people and not another one could be the same. If you go and you see a Picasso in a museum, you know it's a Picasso. If you go in Van Gogh, you know that it's a Van Gogh. If you see a Basquiat, you know it's a Basquiat. This is what we call great talent. And not just great talent. They are the only one who will ever do that. Otherwise, people will say, I can do this too. But you never did it. Mark Rothko, I don't know if you know Mark Rothko. Mark Rothko paints this really humongous thing. He spent all his life to get to this point. And people say, I can do this. I say, well, can't do this. You spend your life before to get there. So these people are visionaries, they are creators, and they change the world of art. And on the top of this, having a filmmaker who is an artist himself doing this is a double whammy. So you get like two things. You get like the vision of Schnabel being a great director and a great artist himself, and on the top looking at Basquiat, who had this really dramatic life, but will produce such an extraordinary things. I think the role too of all these people around him could be Benicio del Toro, or all these are very, very accurate. So he really reproduced these people because he lived the time, so he knew what these people was. Very, very accurate in the way he reproduced everything, and he gave a great product. Great product, especially in the music, when you have like images, and you have music, and you have painting, and you have everything that's very powerful, very powerful. So that is really what a film is made, what a statement in film. You have the filming, you have the acting, all the actors were, again, like very young and starting their life and brought some really, really unbelievable way of expressing who he is. And it's the only film who was ever made on Basquiat. There is no other film, besides some documentary, but nothing else. He had this too, like the idea of like people were considering, he was really kind of rebellious in a lot of ways. And he said what he did not like. And I mean, he said that. He said, I am not a black artist, I am an artist. And that statement was still there, So he considered himself like a creator, and he's still seen today as this great person who just popped out of the 80s and who and I know the art world well enough. There's not too many people like this in the history of the world, So you have people like this who pop up, who come out. When you see him as a little boy going with his mother, go see the Guernica of Picasso, you see all these things are like making and had a big impact. His mother had an unbelievable impact. He, of course, didn't like his father. His father was an accountant. Accountant and painter, they don't go together. And he had like a lot of fights with his father. The 80s were like a very interesting era. I mean, I'm not so old, but I remember them very well. I can tell you, I remember this Reagan era, when Ronald Reagan came in, the world changed. The world changed in the way of like, there was this rebellious thing, and it's not for nothing that these people are coming in the 80s. Because it was, I remember this really kind of like conservative kind of things, like I remember very well, because at that time I was in the airline business, a long time ago, and when he fired, I don't know if you remember that, Reagan fired everyone, and everybody was saying, what's going on? It was like really a strong push on like the me generation, the 80s. So that if this comes, at that time, it is still, it shows. It shows that we are in a generation who needed something rebellion. And often art is the most powerful rebellion act against something that people don't want. In general, it's young people, but too for old people. And that's a very specific thing, this really scream of a great painter, So I'm gonna tell you something very interesting. This is a sentence of André Breton, who was the head of the Surrealist movement. He used to say, the dream of a butcher are not the same dream than a poet. And think about it. If you take drugs And if you have, I mean, people used to say, if I'm taking drugs, I'm going to play saxophone like John Coltrane. No, you're not going to play saxophone like John Coltrane. It's if you don't have the ability inside. Drugs might do, you know, just ease you, but maybe in the creativity. But if you don't have the creativity in you, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to finish on the street. But all these people, I mean, all these great artists who took drugs, it helped their creativity because they had it inside.